Well, hey everybody. Welcome back to another episode of 1025. I'm sitting here behind a locked door because right now our church doors are locked. And there are times in life where we find ourselves behind locked doors. In fact, if you look at the post-resurrection accounts in the Gospel of John, that's exactly where we find the disciples. It says that they're huddled together in a room with the doors locked. Why? For fear of the Jews. The motivating emotion there is fear. And this is what fear causes us to do. It causes us to cower behind a closed door. It cuts us off from interactions with others, from living a normal life that God has called us to. And that's where many of us are living right now. We're living with some level of fear. So let me just ask you, what are you afraid of right now? You know, some of you are afraid of losing your job, or afraid on the other side of the COVID crisis, will you be able to find a job? Some of you are afraid of losing your retirement. Some of you you're afraid of, are you going to be able to handle this? How long is this going to go on? Are you going to be able to handle it staying cooped up? Are you going to go stir crazy? Some of you are afraid of what it looks like to be able to work from home and also try to homeschool your kids, and it's overwhelming to you. Some of you are afraid of contracting the virus, or of someone close to you contracting it. Or that fear of if you do contract it, that fear of dying alone in a hospital. And what are you afraid of? Right now, there's a lot of fear in our world. So the disciples, they're behind locked doors and they're living in fear. And what happens? Jesus shows up, walks right through that locked door, stands amongst them. And here's what he says: peace. Peace be with you. It's the Hebrew word shalom. It's a word of traditional Jewish greeting, which means I desire for all to be well with you, for it to be well with your soul, for it to be well with your circumstances. And right now, Jesus shows up in your life and he says, peace. Peace be with you. I want all to be well for you. And he doesn't just say that once to the disciples. He says it twice. But the second time, he takes it a step further. He says, peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I am sending you. In other words, I don't want you to stay here behind locked doors living in fear. I want you to be able to step out into the world. As the Father has loved me, as the Father has sent me, so now I'm sending you. He says, but I'm not sending you alone. He says, here, receive the Holy Spirit. Receive the Holy Spirit. A spirit that Paul says in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6 is not a spirit of timidity, not a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, a spirit of love. Receive that Spirit. And that's my prayer. That's my desire for you today. That you would be pursued by God's peace. That your heart would be settled because of the Holy Spirit that dwells in you. Because really, what do we have to be afraid of? I'm serious. What do we really have to be afraid of? Because sin and Satan did their worst to Jesus. And yet, he came out alive on the other side. And so for us, we have that same confidence. I don't know what's going to happen in the days ahead, but here's the confidence that I have. No matter what happens, no matter how bad it gets, we are going to come out on the other side alive. There's nothing that we need be afraid of. So today, stop living behind a locked door. Stop living in fear. Let's get up. Let's unlock that door and let's go out and live the life that God has called us to. And I'll see you again tomorrow.